Merci! Hello, my friends, and welcome. Je m'appelle Meredith et je suis une amie de Penny. My name is Meredith, and I'm one of Penny's many friends. I heard y'all were having a party, and what's a party without a little bit of bubbly at the end of it, eh? Mon bubbles. J'oubliais le mot pour bubbles, je suis désolée. Mon bubbles préférés sont la champagne. My favorite kind of bubbles are champagne bubbles. Now, this petite bouteille, this bottle, says that this is a California champagne, but this is really an imposteur. Why? A little thing called terroir et appellation, my friends. But what do those words mean? I'll tell you. Now, there are two concepts that I'm talking about here. One is terroir, one is called appellation. Appellation, right here, is this concept or this idea that legally only certain wines can come from certain régions de la Belle France. Par exemple, mon région préférée sont la Grande Est. My favorite region of France is the Great East. When I lived there a couple of years ago, it was known as Champagne-Ardenne. In the name is the word champagne. Very important, because this region right here, where you see the yellow, is the only place where true champagne comes from. Pretty cool, huh? Another important French wine concept is this idea of terroir. Terroir has the root word terre, which means ground or earth. So it's this idea that whatever wine is made there is truly connected to all of these things. The sunlight, the soil, the water, what makes it really perfect, you know? Now, champagne is made using three different types of grape. A Pinot Noir, a Pinot Meunier, and a Chardonnay grape, according to my petite cheat here. Now, champagne, as we noted on the map, is a northern wine. So that means it's known for its tartness, its minerality, which is kind of like the taste of earth and wet gravel if you've ever licked a rock. I know Penny's licked a rock. And they have a high acidity as well, so they're not something that's really easy on the palate. They sort of, you feel it, it's a little tart, wakes you up a little bit. The bubbles also help. Now, 90% of champagnes are made in the brut style, which means there's only half a gram of sugar per glass. So if you're really looking on ways to cut your sugar out of your alcohol intake, but still want to enjoy a little bit, look for something that is brut. That typically means that it's drier. It's also less. If it's extra brut, means it's extra dry. So if you're looking for a champagne avec un petit sucre, a little sugary, that's not the way to go. Stay away from something that says brut if you don't like it dry. Most champagne is made using the méthode traditionnelle, which is where they ferment in the bottle itself. So take Taittinger, for example. This is one of my favorite champagnes. It's champagne that I had at my wedding because I promised myself that I would. But when we visited the champagne house for Taittinger in France, they took us down to the lower cellars. The lower cellars for this place weren't anything more than a bunch of tunnels dug out of a clay cave where they had rows and rows and rows of green bottles canted like this at an angle. So what they did was they put the yeasts and stuff into each of the bottles, but with the bouteille traditionnelle method, what they have to do for all of these bottles, thousands of them in this cave maze, is turn them a quarter. It's like every day or every week, j'oubliais, I forget, it's been a while. So they turn it every couple of days, and that allows the yeast to kind of float and move around the bottle so it doesn't get gross. I don't actually remember all the real details of how to make champagne. There are reasons for that. Voici une bouteille de Dom Perignon, one of the most expensive champagnes we have in the area. Dom Perignon is a respected champagne house, also in, Champagne-Ardenne or La Grande Est, whatever you want to call it. We can see here it's got its name, of course, all over the bottle. All over the box. And it was released in 2010. So this is already a good 11-year-old vintage. Traditionally, your bottles of champagne will run you anywhere from like 15 months to be bottled to 36 years. All right, let's unbox this bad boy and see what we're working with. So apparently when you get fancy champagne, you get a bunch of other fancy stuff that comes along with it. But that's what we're going for right there, the prize. Bonjour, Dom Perignon. As we see here, it was created, picked, bottled, made in Épernay, France. A product of France, believe it or not. Amazing. All of that for only $190. It could be yours. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't necessarily afford a nice bottle of French champagne. I can't afford bottles of most French wines, which is where my good buddy Cooks comes in. So when it comes to champagne, a California champagne is moins cher, less expensive, and still a pretty good deal. Cooks Champagne is a California sparkling wine. Technically, like we said, if it's not made in Champagne, it's not a champagne, it's just a sparkling wine. But this wine is extra dry, which means it's brut. There we are. And you'll see here on this label that it's made in the Charmat method as opposed to the méthode traditionnelle. This means that it's made in a big vat, just like they would make pretty much any other alcohol, and then it's bottled after it's fermented. So when you're opening a bottle of champagne, or in this case, sparkling wine, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. One, when you're playing with the cork, don't look right at it. You're gonna poke your eye out, kid. Two, don't shake it up. Everything is under pressure. Whatever you see in the movies when it sprays and goes all over the place, that's true. Fine if it's a $10 bottle of Cooks. Not fine if it's a $190 bottle of Dom Perignon. No? Now, to open your bouteille, what you want to do is first take off the foil. I'm really chintzy here. I'm just using a ballpoint pen to tear my foil open. Some of them have a little pull tab. That's also okay to use. There we are. Next, you want to remove what's called the cage. That's this part. Pull this little side down here and just start to twist real easily. Should come off pretty shortly. Take this off the top. Obviously, this helps keep the cork on. Now, your first instinct is going to be what they do dans les films, which is just a boop, pop it off avec les doigts, your thumbs. But we don't necessarily want to do that because, like I said, you'll waste precious bubbles. So what I like to do is take one hand, kind of warm the neck of the bottle a little bit. It helps the bottle expand. And then take your other hand, put it around the cork. Good firm grip on the cork. My husband is making lewd comments behind the camera. Give it a nice, gentle twist, pulling up as you go. See how it's loosening? And you should hear a satisfying pop, just like that. A couple of bubbles rise to the top. And there you have it. Now, I will say that when you are working with a traditional French champagne, if you aren't careful, your cork will go flying. Traditionally, French champagnes have more carbonation in them, so they're more likely to really blow the cork off and make a giant mess if you're not careful. So if you are opening a bottle of true French champagne, really keep a hold on that cork. For pouring, many champagne bottles have this little divot in the bottom. I forget what it's called, no big deal. Boop, put your thumb right in there. Rest it above the glass just a little bit. Pour till you see the bubbles come to the top, but cut it off. Like so. Et voila! Now, the glass that you pick is also technically important when serving champagne, or really any wine. I prefer to drink it out of a coffee mug, because I'm that kind of gal. But if you are being fancy, go ahead and stick with a champagne flute. The flutes are made in a very specific shape for a reason. It helps contain the bubbles and let them rise up nice and effervescently right along the edge of the glass. If you have a wider glass, or in my case, a coffee mug, those bubbles are going to spread out over a wider surface area, and you're not going to have these sparky bubbles that really make champagne a lot of fun. I would say that living in France was probably one of the best experiences of my life, mostly because I got to hang out avec mes amis, with my friends. I got to faire des grands repas, make these big, beautiful meals with little money that we had, and enjoy lovely wine and fellowship. I think that anywhere that you gather together good friends and good food, you're gonna have a good time. So, salut, mes amis. Cheers. À votre souhait, to your wishes. Champagne. According to my petite cheat sheet, no. This champagne is un imposteur! I'll tell you what. Nope. Alright. Delete that. Alright. More mineral-y? Half a gram? Yeah. If you ask me, then I really like to drink it. Hold on. Alright, try again. Oh, we're good? Oh.